Japan has become shorthand, online, for a society that simply works. Trains that arrive on schedule, streets kept immaculately clean, a reputation for safety and order that few countries can match. It's a compelling narrative and much of it is accurate, but it's also incomplete. Behind the postcard image is a country managing one of the most significant demographic and structural transitions in the developed world. This video examines both sides of that picture. That reputation is measurable. International tourism satisfaction surveys consistently place Japan at or near the top globally for safety, cleanliness, and public transit reliability. These aren't exaggerations, they reflect real, sustained performance. The question isn't whether this side of Japan is genuine, it's whether it represents the whole country. Most of that impression is formed in a narrow geographic and cultural window, a handful of major cities, visited for a matter of days, filmed for content that rewards visual polish over context. It's a real place, but it represents a small, affluent, urban fraction of a much larger and more complex nation. So before addressing what's absent from that narrative, it's worth understanding why the narrative persists in the first place, because part of it is legitimate, and that distinction matters. Japan's rail system does operate with a level of precision most countries can't replicate. Its public safety statistics are genuinely exceptional. Its service culture, the concept of omotenashi, produces some of the most consistent customer experiences in the world. These aren't myths. They're documented strengths, and they're the foundation the broader narrative is built on. But strength in one area doesn't preclude serious strain in another. And the most consequential strain in modern Japan isn't visible on a week-long visit. It's demographic and it's been building for decades. Japan recorded its steepest population decline on record in the 2025 census. The headcount dropped 2.5%, the sharpest drop on record, accelerating from 0.7% 5 years earlier. Marriage rates fell from roughly 1 million a year in the 1970s to under 500,000 by 2023. Japan became the world's first super-aged society in 2006. By 2024, nearly 30% of the population was 65 or older, while children made up just 11%, the smallest share on record. Projections show the population falling to roughly 87 million by 2070, with close to 40% of residents 65 or older. The consequence: fewer workers, more retirees, a shrinking base to fund both. Geography compounds the problem. Japan is mountainous and seismically active, and most habitable land is already dense. Over 93% of the population is urban, and that concentration keeps intensifying around one center. Tokyo alone holds 14.2 million residents, about 11.6% of the national population, and Greater Tokyo holds over 30% of the country's total. The result is two divergent trends at once: rural regions losing population and services, while Tokyo absorbs growth faster than its housing and infrastructure can comfortably handle. These dynamics converge economically. Japan's working-age population has shrunk since the early 1990s as the share of residents 65 and older keeps rising, meaning fewer workers support more retirees every year. This shows up in strained pensions, labor shortages in caregiving and construction, and pressure on a shrinking tax base. Workplace culture hasn't kept pace. Long hours remain common despite government caps, with inconsistent enforcement making it harder to balance career and family, which reinforces the low birth rate. It's a closed loop. Fewer children, fewer future workers, more strain, less capacity to support families, fewer children again. Taken together, a country performing exceptionally well on the metrics visitors experience directly while managing a demographic transition most visitors never see. None of this means Japan is failing to adapt, it's responding, and how it responds is the more instructive story. Rural municipalities are subsidizing or giving away vacant homes, called akiya, to attract new residents. The government is cautiously expanding visa categories for skilled foreign workers to fill labor gaps. Domestic trends can't close alone. Automation and robotics, a long-standing Japanese strength, are being deployed in elder care and manufacturing to offset shortages. And a gradual shift toward remote work is drawing younger workers out of an overcrowded Tokyo into smaller cities with lower costs and more capacity. These aren't complete solutions. Immigration reform, especially, is moving slower than the demographic trend it addresses. But they represent a deliberate reassessment of assumptions Japan has held for decades about labor, family, and who's included in its economic future. Japan isn't the frictionless society it's often presented as online, and treating it that way undersells a more interesting reality. This is a country navigating one of the most significant demographic shifts of any major economy carefully and not always successfully. That story is more complex than the postcard version. It's also more worth understanding. If you're interested in how cities and countries plan around challenges like these, subscribe. Thank you for watching.